If you're a Filipino American and you're on a decolonization journey, I recommend three books that have helped me in the past few months navigate this weird terrain. The first one is E.G.R. David, Brown Skin, White Minds, one of my all time favorites, and it's specifically for the Filipino psyche. And it gave me a lot of clues to start learning more about our history and learning more about how colonial mentality affects the mental health of all of us in the diaspora. The second one that I would follow up with that is The Patterns That Remain by Dr. Stacy Diane Aranez Latam. I met her in Las Vegas. She was doing a book signing. Beautiful soul, beautiful energy. Reading this book is like a warm hug. And it gives a lot of practical tools on how to have hard conversations with your family, even with yourself, in navigating decolonial consciousness. The other one is called Wretched of the Earth by Frantz Fanon. Let me actually get it. This is like one of the classic works. The reason why I don't recommend this first is because it can kind of piss you off in the sense that it's written with very strong prose and it activates something within you. It ignites you about what colonialism has done to people, to the psyche, to the land, to our resources, to our relationship with each other and our relationship to ourselves. Frantz Fanon has very striking prose that really grinds your gears. So I say start off with Dr. E.G.R. David or Dr. Stacey Diane Aranez Latam because I feel like it's more accessible to the Filipino psyche. It's kinder. They're more like warm hugs in this heavy stuff, heavy work. But I think Frantz Fanon really helped me particularly because it just made me hyper aware of oppression from revolutionary wording and language. This book starts revolutions. I think I glitched, but this book starts revolutions and I understand why. I have to be careful when I read this one. I'm still working through it. But it's really good, it's really solid. And the one thing that it made me hyper conscious of is when you do this work, how do you decolonize? How do you unlearn the ideologies, the belief systems, and the ways of seeing reality that we've learned from the West? And not completely unlearn it. For me, I'm more integrative. I'm not like, get rid of all things Western because I'm actually really grateful for lessons that I've learned from the West. But when you do this, like, it's just very activating. It triggers a lot of emotions. It triggers a lot of traumas. And so on the other end, it's worth it. But he made me hyper conscious of how do you navigate and develop what Paulo Freire calls critical consciousness, awareness of your own unconscious oppression, without becoming just an angry person. How do you fight the oppression? How do you overcome the oppression? How do you heal the oppression? How do you nurture the oppression? Overcome it. Maybe nurture isn't the right word. Without becoming the oppressor afterwards. And that's something that I've really been meditating on through this book. Other books that I recommend too, there's actually more books. Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, and Paulo Freire, Pedagogy of Hope are also really powerful. I read them digitally. The more I do this work, the more I realize that it's important to have hope. Paulo Freire talks about how hope is an ontological need, especially with everything going on in the United States today as it descends into a fascist dictatorship. I think more and more people are waking up to that. And having hope is just really important. It's no longer just about, and also not blind hope. But hope is a skill during this time, and Paulo Freire goes deeper into that. In Pedagogy of the Oppressed, he also gives tools to have conversations about oppression, because one of the things that I struggle with right now is how to use my voice without just being angry. How to navigate what Frantz Fanon calls sacred rage. Because we need to be angry. It's important to be angry. And anger is seen as something very negative, seen as something very primal, seen as something very taboo to feel anger. So how do I embrace my anger? How do you embrace your anger? But then also communicate from a space where other people can see it, where other people can understand and also reach critical consciousness. How can you, at least for me, in my space, because I like to use my voice, I like to talk, both online and also to the people around me. How can I be a better educator during this time? How can I be a better steward of awareness without repeating the same cycles of communicating that just make more people angry or completely turn people off who aren't paying attention. So Pedagogy of the Oppressed gives me a lot of tools of language and the space it comes from, operating from a space of genuine intellectual or epistemological curiosity. Basically, having dialogic conversation with somebody out of curiosity, genuine curiosity. Not like I know everything, listen to me. But to be curious, especially with people who are unaware. Pedagogy of the Oppressed has really helped me with that. I'm still learning too. I'm not like, I don't have it all figured out, but these books have really helped me. And another thing to understand, I think, is that has been really helpful for other educators out there, or people who choose to use their voices, understanding, this has helped me, is the functions of consciousness. Ken Wilber, in his book on integral theory, as well as A Theory of Everything, has been really helpful in mapping out where people operate from in different consciousnesses during times of chaos, like the things that are happening in America today. He talks about and references Don Beck and Christopher Cowan's work called Spiral Dynamics, and it maps out different layers of consciousness, not hierarchical, but just different functions of consciousness that people operate from. And it's really helpful in helping me understand people in the comments because I'm a human being, and some of the comments, they fluster me a little bit, and I want to understand. I find that when I name things, it helps me navigate a little bit more because I have more clarity of where people come from, and I have more clarity of how and where I'm operating from in my consciousness when I understand frameworks like spiral dynamics. It's given me a lot of tools that build on Paulo Freire's work, Pedagogy of the Oppressed, to balance my internal state, to feel not as angry when someone in the comments says something like so certain or morally superior, when I'm just coming from like, hey, I just want to I'm just learning things, I'm just sharing things with you guys, but people want to attack me for stuff. Where does that come from? And how can I handle that better? Spiral dynamics and Ken Wilber's integral theory really helped me understand how my brain naturally functions, but then also how integration is not usually well received by people in different states of consciousness. But yeah, those are the books that have really helped me. And I don't know who's going to see this, but thanks for watching.